Welcome back to our channel where we bring you the latest in brain research findings and psychology facts. Today, we'll be sharing 10 crazy facts about the human brain. But trust me, these aren't the normal basic facts you'll find anywhere else. Some of them might even shock you. So buckle up for this wild ride through the most bizarre and fascinating aspects of our brains. Fact number 1. Your brain weighs 3 pounds. So let's start off with a bit of trivia that might make you question everything you thought you knew about your own head. The human brain, that 3-pound universe tucked away inside your skull, is one of the most complex structures known to humankind. Despite its relatively small size compared to the rest of your body, this wrinkled ball of tissue is responsible for everything you think, feel, and do. It controls your emotions, memories, movements, thoughts, and even your basic survival instincts. And if that wasn't impressive enough, consider this: your brain generates its own electrical field, allowing it to communicate with the trillions of cells that make up the rest of your body. Yeah, we know it's hard to wrap your mind around, but there's so much more to discover about this incredible organ. So stay tuned and get ready to be amazed by the incredible capabilities of your brain. Fact number 2. The brain uses 20 watts of energy. Our brains are constantly buzzing with activity, even when we're fast asleep. But have you ever stopped to think about the energy required to keep this complex machine running smoothly? Well, it turns out that the average human brain uses a whopping 20 watts of energy at all times. To put that into perspective, it's about the same amount of energy required to power a single 100-watt light bulb for 20 minutes, or charge an iPhone for about half an hour. But unlike those everyday devices, your brain doesn't just shut off when it's not in use. It's constantly working to keep you alive, from regulating your heartbeat and breathing to processing sensory input and controlling your movements. And what's even more remarkable is that this energy usage doesn't vary much based on what you're doing. Whether you're lounging on the couch watching TV or sprinting up a flight of stairs, your brain is using roughly the same amount of energy. So the next time you feel like you're burning out, just remember that your brain is literally a powerhouse of energy consumption. Fact number 3. The brain has over 86 billion neurons. Let's talk about neurons, the tiny cells that make up our nervous system and allow us to do everything from feeling emotions to riding a bike. But here's where things get wild. The human brain contains over 86 billion of these amazing cells, which means that the number of possible connections between them is practically infinite. These connections allow us to process and store vast amounts of information, from childhood memories to complex problem-solving skills. And while we're still learning about the intricacies of the brain, scientists are constantly making new discoveries about the incredible things that these neurons can do. So next time you're feeling overwhelmed by the complexity of the brain, just remember that it's made up of trillions of tiny cells working together to create one of the most powerful machines in the known universe. Fact number 4. The brain cannot feel pain. Your brain is arguably the most important and complex organ in your body, responsible for everything from controlling your movements to processing your emotions. But did you know that this remarkable organ cannot feel pain itself? While your brain does receive signals from the rest of your body when you're injured, it doesn't actually experience pain. Instead, it interprets those signals and decides how you should react. For example, if you touch a hot stove, your brain will receive a message from your hand and tell you to pull away before you're burned. But the brain itself won't feel the burn. This might seem surprising, but it makes sense when you consider that the brain needs to be able to function properly in order for you to survive. If your brain could feel pain every time your body was injured, it would be constantly overwhelmed and wouldn't be able to carry out its essential functions. Fact number 5. Your brain creates false memories. Have you ever been telling a story and accidentally included a detail that wasn't really there? Or maybe you've remembered a dream so vividly that you're convinced it must have happened in real life. Our brains are constantly trying to make sense of the world around us, and sometimes they come up with some pretty creative and inaccurate interpretations. In fact, your brain can create false memories without you even realizing it. False memories can be created through a variety of factors, including the way we perceive information, the way we store and retrieve information, and even the way we interact with others. For example, if you're repeatedly exposed to a piece of information, you may eventually accept it as a fact, even if it's not true. Or, if someone else tells you something about yourself that seems plausible, you may incorporate it into your own memories. While false memories can be harmless, they can also lead to serious problems, such as mistaken eyewitness testimony in court or the spread of misinformation. Understanding how false memories are created is an important step toward preventing them from causing harm. Fact number 6. The brain is more active when you sleep. Contrary to popular belief, your brain doesn't just shut down when you sleep. In fact, it becomes even more active than when you're wide awake. While you dream, your brain is busy processing new information and recalling old memories, helping you learn and grow even while you're unconscious. During deep sleep, your brain waves slow down, which allows for better memory consolidation and learning. This means that when you wake up, you'll be better able to remember what you learned the previous day and apply it to new situations. So, instead of seeing sleep as a time for your brain to rest, think of it as a period of intense activity that helps you process and store important information. It's a win-win situation. Fact number 7. Your brain can heal itself. Your brain is an incredibly resilient organ, capable of healing itself from injuries and diseases that would cripple any other part of your body. This natural healing process is known as neuroplasticity, and it occurs when your brain reroutes signals around damaged areas to ensure that communication between different parts of your brain remains strong. Even after suffering a stroke or traumatic brain injury, many people are able to recover fully because of their brain's natural ability to adapt and heal. This remarkable characteristic sets our brains apart from other organs in our bodies and gives us hope for recovery after brain injuries or diseases. Fact number 8. Creativity is not just in the right hemisphere. Popular culture often portrays the right side of the brain as being more creative and the left side as more analytical. However, research has shown that this is a false stereotype. While there are some differences between the two hemispheres, creativity is not limited to just one side. In fact, studies have found that both sides of the brain are involved in creative thinking, just in different ways. The right hemisphere is more likely to make unusual connections between ideas, while the left hemisphere is more focused on details and logic. This means that both sides of the brain are necessary for the creative process. So the next time you hear someone say that you're too left-brained to be creative, just remember that it's not true. Fact number 9. Men and women's brains are surprisingly different. Men and women's brains are wired differently, which explains why they tend to approach things in different ways. On average, women's brains are slightly larger than men's, but men's brains tend to have more gray matter, which is responsible for processing information. Women's brains, on the other hand, have more white matter, which helps to connect different parts of the brain and allows for faster communication between them. These differences in brain structure may explain why women tend to be better at multitasking and men tend to be better at focusing on one task at a time. Additionally, studies have found that men and women use different parts of their brains when performing the same tasks. For example, men tend to rely more on the left side of their brain when solving math problems, while women tend to use both sides of their brain. These differences in brain activity may contribute to the gender gap in STEM fields, as men and women may need to develop different strategies for success. Fact number 10. Some people can hear colors. If you've ever seen a bright yellow and thought, "Wow, that's a happy color," then you've probably tapped into the fascinating phenomenon known as synesthesia. This unique ability allows some people to perceive a color when they hear a sound or taste a flavor when they see a shape. Synesthesia is a neurological phenomenon that affects people in different ways. For some, It might be as simple as associating certain colors with certain sounds. For others, it can be a full-on sensory experience that brings an entire world of color to life through their ears. This ability is thought to be caused by an overgrowth of brain cells, leading to a blending of different sensory inputs. But regardless of the cause, it's clear that synesthesia is a remarkable ability that can add a whole new dimension to the way we experience the world. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on our amazing videos. And thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.